Before you begin your normal training, I will be running you through exercises. Now the rest of this week will be for working together as a team. Your first assignment is for all of you to get these shuriken. He pulled out 3 shuriken and threw them about a quarter of the way up into 3 trees. All 3 of the genin ran at their respective trees and started climbing until they were forced off of them. Don't be too hasty. You will climb those trees without using your hands. What? Naruto asked. But sensei, that is impossible. Yakumo stated. Isn't it? Itachi walked up to a tree. His feet attached to the trunk and he easily walked up the side of the tree. How are you doing that, sensei? Naruto asked. I am sending chakra to my feet and using it to connect to the tree's trunk. This is an easy chakra control exercise, but to up the challenge I will not help you. Figure it out as a team. Consider this your first D-ranked mission from me. Itachi burst into crows and left the 3 genin to work together. He secretly watched from the top of another tree. So how are we supposed to do this? Yakumo asked. I say we just go for it. It can't be that hard. Sasuke answered. He made a hand sign and focused chakra to his feet. Feeling the power he smiled and ran at the tree. His first foot connected to the tree and he could tell that it was working. He made it 4 steps until he found himself blown away by his chakra. An indent was left in the tree's trunk. Wow, nice work there, Sasuke. Shut up, Naruto. I'd like to see you do better. Is that a challenge? Yes, it is. The 2 friends glared at each other. Their rivalry started to really show through as they both ran at the trees at the same time. Again Sasuke's foot connected. He made it 1 step higher than before until he was thrown off again. He looked over and Naruto had made it just as high as he did. Itachi smiled and shook his head as he watched. Guys, I think we should talk about this. Yakumo said to the other 2. Yeah, I think you're right. Whatever. Sasuke said, not wanting to admit he didn't know what to do. So what do we do? Naruto asked. Itachi-sensei said to figure it out as a team, so, Sasuke. Yeah. Describe what you felt when you walked up the tree. The first few steps were easy, but then my chakra spiked and it damaged a tree and knocked me off. Yeah, that's how I felt too. Like my heartbeat was increasing and I lost control. Naruto added. So I think that the key here is focus. The more we focus on our chakra the easier it will be to climb. Yakumo made a hand sign and focused chakra into her feet. She ran at her tree and kept her breathing steady. She easily doubled the distance the boys made it and when she was halfway to the shuriken her foot slipped. At first she panicked as she started to fall, but her instincts kicked in and she quickly grabbed a kunai and impaled it into the tree and held herself there for a moment. Are you okay, Yakumo? Naruto asked. Yeah, I'm fine. Readying herself she placed her feet on the trunk and pushed off, pulling the kunai from the bark and landed on her feet. Well, you certainly have a better handle on chakra control than we do. Thank you, Sasuke. Wow, Sasuke giving a compliment. You must really like her. Shut up, Naruto. Okay, you too. So we do this as a team then, right? If that's the case then listen up, gather chakra into your feet. Focus on the tree. If you can be in tune with the tree's own chakra, then you should be able to find the exact amount needed to stay attached. Then you just have to keep your concentration. It should be a lot easier at that point. Man, and I thought I was smart. I can understand the necessity of this training though. With better control maybe I can advance in my medical career. Naruto said to the team. Then what are we waiting for? Sasuke asked. Let's do this, guys. Itachi watched for the next hour as Naruto and Sasuke each made impressive efforts in their distance up the tree. Yakumo clearly had the best control as she was able to make it to the shuriken on her 3rd try. Still, even though she made it she helped the other 2 out by watching them and helping them focus. Okay, Naruto, we can do it this time. All or nothing, right, Sasuke? Sasuke just smiled back and the 2 friends focused their chakra. Naruto found each time that he felt a strange presence in the tree. It was like him and the tree became one. Itachi noticed that Naruto's chakra would sometimes become slightly visible and it would have a deep green hue to it instead of the normal blue. Naruto and Sasuke took off at the same time running at the tree. Step for step they were equals as they climbed. They seemed to be in perfect sync and their focus was flawless. Itachi watched, impressed by their quick learning of this technique. Both ninja reached out for the shuriken and they grasped the weapon simultaneously. Yeah, we did it. Naruto excitedly shouted. Calm down, Naruto, you're embarrassing. Sasuke scoffed, even though he too was happy for passing the test. They both landed on the ground next to Yakumo and she smiled at them. Good job, you 3, now for one more test. He pulled out 3 kunai. 2 were thrown at a slightly higher distance on 2 side-by-side trees. The 3rd was thrown twice that distance on another tree about 10 feet away. Now only one of you can retrieve each kunai, but the higher up kunai, you are not allowed to climb from the bottom. You must use teamwork to get that 3rd kunai. Figure it out. All three ninjas stood deep in thought trying to figure out how to do it. It was Naruto who understood what needed to be done. Bikumo, you have the best control out of us, so you will get the third kunai. But I can't run up the tree. No, you can't start from the bottom, but the middle is an open game. What are you talking about, Naruto? Sasuke asked. Sasuke, you and I will get to the first two kunai. Once we are stable and can stand on our own up there, Yakumo will run up one of our trees and we will launch her to the third tree where she can climb up the rest of the way. Yakumo instantly became nervous. She realized how much pressure she would be under. Not only did she have to climb up behind them, but she had to trust that they wouldn't let her fall and could get her to the third tree. Then she had to keep focused to connect to and climb it. I don't know about Naruto. Yakumo, you're the only one of us with the skill to do it right now. Trust us, we won't let you fall. Itachi smiled at Naruto. He was beginning to understand the purpose of teamwork. It was a trust that had to be kept by the whole team, otherwise they would fail. He wondered if they could do it. Bikumo, Naruto is right. Another compliment, Sasuke, you're on a roll today. Shut up, Naruto. Anyway, we won't fail you. We trust that you can do it. Bikumo stood in thought for a few moments. She trusted her team, but not herself. She doubted her ability. You can do this. I believe. No, we believe in you. Naruto softly said to her. She looked into his blue and green eyes and smiled. Okay, let's do it. Ready, Sasuke? Yeah. Naruto and Sasuke took off and began their climb. It was getting easier to concentrate on the tree and they didn't miss a step. As they each approached the kunai in the tree, they brought out a second kunai each. Together they impaled the second kunai by the first and climbed on top to stand on the hilts. Sasuke was slightly worried that the knives wouldn't hold their weight, but he couldn't let his fear affect the team, so he pushed it aside. Okay, Yakumo, you're up. Naruto shouted. She took a few deep breaths and concentrated on both trees. She stood, one foot in each of their hands. Okay, now one. Yakumo studied the tree in front of her and concentrated on her chakra. 2. She felt something start to give way and looked down. Their combined weight was causing the kunais to loosen from the tree trunks. She kept her composure and concentration. 3. Naruto and Sasuke used all of their strength to hurl Yakumo towards the tree before the kunai broke free of the tree bark. As they fell, Naruto and Sasuke grabbed hold of the kunai and Itachi watched as they impaled them back into the tree to stop their fall. That was a close one. Naruto said, laughing. As Yakumo closed in on the tree, she took out her own kunai knife and stabbed the tree. She used the momentum of the throw to flip herself over the knife and her feet connected to the tree as she began to run. I did it. She almost slipped as her concentration faltered. No. No. Concentrate. She said to herself. She continued her run and she could see the knife. Almost there. She was 10 feet away. Closer. 5 feet. Just a little more. She closed her eyes as she reached out and grasped hold of the kunai. I did it. I actually did it. She kept herself calm and turned around. She began her descent and ran down the tree. When she was close enough to do it without hurting herself, she jumped off and landed next to her teammates. Great job, Yakumo. Naruto nearly yelled. Not too bad. Sasuke agreed. You three did well. Now I believe you are ready for your first mission. Itachi pulled out a scroll. I got this from Lord Hokage this morning as I had no doubt that you would succeed. This is your first real D-rank mission. Naruto knew all about the chores that D-ranks were, but he also knew they were needed to grow as a team. So, Itachi-sensei, what's it gonna be? Babysitting some kids? Helping an old man do his weekly shopping? No, think of this as a tradition being passed down. It was my first D-rank after all, and even your brother did this one as training before he started in Anbu. Sasuke's face paled as he realized what it was. What is Sasuke? Yakumo asked. Every genin's worst nightmare. Naruto paled at the realization. You don't mean. That's right. Itachi said evilly. Your first D-ranked mission is to capture the missing pet Tora. Somewhere in the distance a cat with a red ribbon on its ear sneezed and ran as it realized it was being hunted. First blood. A C-ranked adventure begins. Yamato sat in the trees overlooking a small encampment of low-ranked missing ninja. After 2 weeks he had managed to find the hidden camp of ninja and he estimated their numbers to be around 10. He knew that this mission should have been handled by a normal squad of Anbu, but at the Hokage's request, he agreed to handle it alone. Flashback. Yamato knocked on the Hokage's office door. Hiruzen Sarutobi had called him in for an important assignment and luckily since Kakashi was no longer a part of his team, he could actually be on time. Come in. He pushed open the door and approached the Hokage's desk. Hiruzen was reading over a mission scroll and after noticing it was Yamato he placed it on the desk. Ah, Yamato, it is good that you are here. I have an assignment for you. What is the mission of Lord Hokage? It seems that there have been many raids and murders in the outlying villages of our country. The villages are on the border of the land of tea and our land of fire. Sounds like the work of bandits. I thought so as well, but it appears as though these bandits are trained in the ninja arts. The band of missing ninja. Are there any reports as to who they are, ranks, or even abilities? No. Our knowledge on this matter is limited. Normally I would send at least a 4-man squad to combat this threat, but our Anbu forces are limited by the sheer number of missions we have had recently. You are among our top operatives, Yamato. I believe that you could handle this situation. Or at least discover much needed information and return so we can send the needed forces. Lord Hokage, you give me too much credit. My abilities are shadowed by. Yamato, I have more faith in you than most of our current shinobi. If anyone can do this, it is you. Hiruzen said calmly, with a smile. Thank you, Lord Hokage. I will do the mission as you have requested. When shall I leave? Immediately. As you wish. Yamato couldn't believe the praise Hiruzen had given him. He knew that he was no match for shinobi life Itachi or Kakashi, but to hear his Hokage had this much faith in his abilities. He wouldn't fail his cage. Flashback ends. After locating the camp, Yamato hid himself amongst the leaves with a high-ranked genjutsu that Itachi had taught him. He sent a message to the Hokage, who asked him to stay another few weeks to assess the situation more and hopefully put some names to the missing ninjas. After a few days he had managed to figure out the names of all the ninja. He waited patiently as he observed the missing ninjas, trying to gather any other information he may need to engage the group in battle. After 2 weeks passed, he tore out the pages of his bingo book that held each name and sent them to Hiruzen. Taikiyoina, 26, female. Rank. Chunin. Village of origin. Iwagakure. Wanted. Dead or alive. Abilities. Taijutsu specialist, limited knowledge of Genjutsu, earth chakra affinity. Crimes. Theft, desertion, assisted murder. Himiko Akihana, 26, female. Rank. Chunin. Village of origin. Iwagakure. Wanted. Dead or alive. Abilities. Notable use of water ninjutsu. Crimes. Theft, desertion, murder. Ryuga Benjiro, 18, male. Rank. Chunin. Village of origin. Kumagakure. Wanted. Dead. Abilities. Lightning affinity, powerful combo attacks with twin brother. Crimes. Murder, desertion, kidnapping. Genji Benjiro, 18, male. Rank. Chunin. Village of origin. Kumagakure. Wanted. Dead. Abilities. Water affinity, powerful combo attacks with twin brother. Crimes. Murder, desertion, kidnapping. Ritsuke Saoji, 14, female. Rank. Genin. Village of origin. Kumagakure. Wanted. Dead. Abilities. Unknown. Crimes. Murder, desertion, taken from village by Benjiro brothers, have since assisted in the murder of Kumo civilians and ninja. Fuikichi, 14, male. Rank. Genin. Village of origin. Kumagakure. Wanted. Dead. Abilities. Unknown. Crimes. Murder, desertion, taken from village by Benjiro brothers, have since assisted in the murder of Kumo civilians and ninja. Fumitaka Tadaiki, 22, male. Rank. Chunin. Village of origin. Kurigakure. Wanted. Dead. Abilities. Kinjutsu, water ninjutsu. Crimes. Murder, desertion, attempted murder. Ikuya Fuyuki, 25, male. Rank. Jonin. Village of origin. Kurigakure. Wanted. Dead. Abilities. High water affinity. Fire affinity. Earth affinity. Crimes. Murder, desertion, attempted murder, attempted thievery. Hidenami, 23, male. Rank. Jonin. Village of origin. Iwagakure. Wanted. Dead. Abilities. High affinities for earth and wind. Powerful taijutsu. Crimes. Desertion, treason, attempted killing of Tsuchikage. Yasushi Sachuhiro, 29, male. Rank. Ex-Anbu. Village of origin. Iwagakure. Wanted. Dead. Abilities. High affinities for earth, water, fire. Exceptional speed. High-level Kinjutsu. Crimes. Desertion, treason, attempted murder of Tsuchikage. The Hokage quickly responded to Yamato's letter telling him to only proceed with the mission if he felt he had the tactical advantage, otherwise wait for reinforcements to arrive in a few days' time. Yamato decided that for now he would go ahead and wait for the reinforcements to arrive. He felt that there was no need to endanger the mission and his life for what would probably be a suicide strike. A month had passed since the start of Squad 7's training, and Naruto could tell that his team was getting stronger every day. Itachi was a strict but fair sensei, and with his assistance the team knew they would be ready to face their next challenge head-on. Naruto looked at his two teammates as they stood in the mission office and observed the new attire that Itachi had taken the liberty of obtaining for his team the day before. He had said that it was a gift for their hard work and dedication. Sasuke wore dark brown pants with black combat boots, a mesh undershirt covered by a black sleeveless shirt. He also wore a dark brown and blue jacket that had the Uchiha fan on the back and only the right arm had a sleeve covering it. The left arm, being his dominant arm, was covered with bandage wrappings. He wore fingerless gloves with metal plates on the backs and he was strapped to his waist on his back and his kunai holster was on his left leg. Sasuke proudly wore his forehead protector where it belonged. Ikumo also wore the same brown pants and black boots as Sasuke. She wore a fishnet undershirt and a white shirt over top. She also wore a white vest with red lining over the shirt and the same fingerless gloves as Sasuke. Her kunai holster was on her right leg and she carried a small bag over her shoulder and sat on her hip. She wore her forehead protector on her forehead. Naruto looked over his own outfit. While he loved what his mother helped him buy before, he felt that his new outfit was more for his team. They would show the world that they were one. His pants and boots were the same as his teammates. He also wore a fishnet mesh undershirt and a black sleeveless overshirt. His jacket was a dark green with a dark orange Uzumaki swirl on the back. He had the Senju crest stitched in over his heart for his mother. He wore the gloves Shizune gave him, as well as his parents' forehead protectors on each arm. His jacket sleeves were the opposite of Sasuke's, and his right arm was wrapped in bandages. Naruto had scrolls stored in the chest pockets of his jacket, as well as in a few pockets on his left arm. His shuriken holster was on his right leg, a ninja pouch on the back of his waist, and he had it strapped to his back. During their training Yakumo had grown more powerful with her Genjutsu and made great strides in her long-range weapons use. Her Taijutsu was still not up to par, but it was considerably better than before. Yakumo had yet to learn any ninjutsu, it didn't come naturally for her. Because of this Itachi elected to focus on her Genjutsu. Sasuke was much faster than before, which worked well with him. He was becoming quite deadly with his sword. Itachi was slightly concerned that Sasuke would become upset because he still hadn't awakened his Sharingan. Sasuke's fire had become more powerful and a great combo for him and Naruto. His Taijutsu, mainly the use of the interceptor form, had also become stronger. Sasuke wasn't too focused on Genjutsu yet, so he spent most of his time practicing with his Kenjutsu instead. Naruto's training had taken great strides. He focused mainly on his Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu, sparring frequently with Sasuke, and the two were fairly evenly matched. Sasuke was faster, but Naruto's form and precision with his blade gave him an edge. His work with seals was getting better every day, though he still had a long way to go before he'd be anywhere near Jiraiya, even longer to get to his father. Itachi noticed that Naruto's use of wind style was coming along rapidly. His medical lessons with Tsunade also proved to be beneficial for his success, as it stressed chakra control. Naruto still had no skill in Genjutsu, and his Taijutsu was not perfect either, though getting better. Best of all though was their teamwork. Itachi saw it getting better every day, with every mission. It was to the point where he had seen Sasuke and Naruto reading each other without speaking. They worked flawlessly together. Ikumo also seemed to be integrating well with the other two, and outside of training and missions, they all seemed connected at the hip. Naruto with his large grin, Yakumo shyly smiling, and Sasuke rolling his eyes, even though he was happy too. Though what do you expect when their team had completed almost triple the missions that any other rookie team did? Their most recent mission had once again been the capture and return of the missing pet Tora. Naruto, who normally loved animals and didn't mind doing these small missions, was getting frustrated. This had been the 6th time in a month they had to capture that cat. And Tora did not want anything to do with its owner, who happened to be the wife of the daimyo. This was the only mission where Naruto and Sasuke often received injuries from the cat's continuous scratching. Only Akumo seemed immune to the cat's horridness. Okay then, for your next mission, the Hokage said to the group. What will it be, babysitting, helping an elderly man with his grocery shopping, or? Tora, please come back, don't leave mommy. A high-pitched screeching sounded through the halls. Not finding the missing pet Tora, again. No. Both Naruto and Sasuke shouted together while Yakumo laughed. Lord Hokage, please, can't you give us a higher ranked mission? I understand the protocol we follow, but our team has done more missions than any of the others. Naruto asked Hiruzen, much to everyone's shock. Naruto, you should be happy with the missions you are assigned. You are still genin fresh out of the academy. You are not ready for higher ranked missions. Iruka said to the group from the Hokage's side. So Naruto, you think your team is ready for a higher class of mission? Hiruzen asked. Yes, I do. And what about you two? He asked Sasuke and Yakumo. Both shook their heads silently, causing Hiruzen to sit back and ponder what he should do. Itachi, what do you think? Lord Hokage, my team is strong. They have trained hard. It is my opinion that they could handle a C-ranked assignment. Plus I will be there in case it gets too dangerous. In that case I do have a C-ranked mission your team can do. Hiruzen said as he handed Itachi a scroll. The client will meet you at the village gate tomorrow morning. You are dismissed. Thank you Lord Hokage. All of Team 7 said together. As they walked out of the room Iruka looked over to Hiruzen worriedly. Lord Hokage, are you sure it's safe to send them on a C-ranked mission? They have to grow up sooner or later Iruka. They are ninja after all. So Itachi-sensei, what kind of mission is it? Naruto asked. It is a simple escort assignment. We are to protect a small merchant caravan as it heads to a village in the land of rivers. It looks like it will take around 2 weeks, so pack accordingly. Will we fight ninja on this mission? Yakumo asked. No, on a C rank you may see bandits, but that's it. What time are we leaving? Sasuke asked. We will meet at 8:30 at the village gate. We leave at 9 o'clock. The three genin nodded and walked away to prepare. Naruto went home and ate with Tsunade and Shizune as he told them about the mission he would be going on. Tsunade, of course, was worried about his first C-ranked assignment but helped calm her down. After they ate, Naruto went to his room and meditated. Hello Naruto. Kurama, it has been a while. I'm sorry for that. I have been watching Naruto. I understand why you haven't contacted me recently. Still, I am sorry. You had best make sure that you are prepared for this assignment kit. I know the Kurama. I sense trouble will be ahead. Your path looks hard to walk. I will be sure to stay safe. I can't let anything happen to either of us after all. Naruto, I need to warn you that you will soon experience side effects of Orochimaru's experiments on you. Naruto paled at the thought. What will happen? I don't know. I just feel it. Thank you for warning Kurama. Just stay safe, Naruto. Naruto finished his meditation and then went to bed. He knew that he would need the rest. Yamato awoke to the sound of the ninja in the camp talking in the middle of the night. Chiaki, have you heard anything new on the plan? No Ryuga, I haven't. So it's still in the morning then? Yes Genji, to my knowledge the village is ours in the morning. Chiaki responded to the brothers. Those insects have no idea what is coming for them. Yamato paled at the information. He knew that it would take the reinforcements a few days to get to his location, but these ninja would kill more innocents tomorrow. An internal debate started in his head. If he attacked, the odds were not on his side. If he did nothing people would die. He might die himself. The women and children would not be spared. Naruto might miss. Naruto. Yamato, you're a great ninja. No one can beat you. My big brother's the best. You will protect those who need it right big brother. Yamato stood up from his spot in the tree. He refused to run away with his tail between his legs. He wouldn't let Naruto down that way and if he did die, at least it would be trying to help the helpless. Wood style. Wood clone jutsu. 6 clones sprouted from the tree branches around him. All the clones shared his thoughts and knew their respective jobs. Yamato pulled out a small book filled with pre-made seal tags. He began to hand out several tags to each clone. He stopped at a set of seals given to him by Naruto. He had laughed at his brother's interest in Fuinjutsu and when Naruto had given him these seals, telling him that he had designed them himself, Yamato didn't know what to expect. Not wanting to risk it, he put Naruto's seals back in his pocket. Be ready in 2 hours. We strike then. Yamato said to his clones. They nodded in agreement and then took off. I promised to do my best Naruto. Naruto stood at the village gate an hour before they were supposed to meet. 2 Chunin that Naruto met a few years ago sat at the sign-in station, but at the moment they paid him no mind. Naruto always wanted to go outside the village since he came back all those years ago. It felt like the forest was calling out to him. Deciding that it would be a while until anyone showed up, Naruto sat down and began to meditate. For 30 minutes he sat in awe at the living green energy that seemed to be emitted from the forest outside. It was like a heartbeat, softly echoing throughout the leaves. Nature was calling him and he never knew what to say. What are you doing? Naruto opened his eyes to see a little girl standing in front of him looking at him strangely. She had jet black hair pulled into a ponytail with a blue bow and black eyes. She was wearing a light blue dress and had a stuffed bear in her hands. What do you mean? You were humming. And some strange colors were coming off of you. Naruto thought the girl had just imagined something. He wasn't humming at all. I was meditating. Who are you? My name is Yutsuko Urara and I am the daughter of the world-famous merchant Tenma Urara. The girl said loudly with pride, almost dancing in glee. How old are you, Yutsuko? Naruto asked, chuckling at her antics. I'm 6. Are you a ninja? Yes I am. That's cool, I guess. Not as cool as my dad though. We have a group of ninjas escorting us to our village because my dad's an important person. Itsuko that's enough please. Naruto looked over to see a man approach who looked a lot like the girl. He had the same black hair and eyes as she did and wore a green kimono. He stood next to a large cart filled with fabrics and other tradable goods. I apologize to my daughter. She still doesn't know when she is being rude to people. It's no problem. I'm Tenma Urara, and you are? Naruto Uzumaki Senju. I believe that my team and I are the ninja assigned to protect you. But you're a child. I am Genin, Mr. Urara. Mr. Urara, I presume. Naruto looked over to see Sasuke, Itachi, and Yakumo walking towards him. Yes, and you are? I am Itachi Uchiha, Jonin of Konoha. This is Sasuke Uchiha and Yakumo Kurama, both are my Genin students. I see you have already met Naruto. Tenma nodded. We are your protectors for this mission. When I put in for this escort, I didn't know that children would be assigned. I can assure that these children are among our best Genin. I have taught them personally. I also happen to be one of the Leaf Village's elite Jounin. We should have no problem protecting you from bandits. That is good to hear, Itachi Uchiha. I look forward to making it home in a timely fashion. That is what we aim for. Then let us be off. Tenma and Yutsuko got inside their carriage and the four ninjas surrounded them. Itachi stood in the back of the group behind the cart, Naruto and Sasuke were assigned the sides, and Yakumo sat on the top hidden in a genjutsu to scout out the area. The first 4 days of travel were uneventful, and Naruto smiled at the antics of Yutsuko. She loved traveling with her father, but she was also inquisitive and liked to make up stories. Naruto, what's up in that tree, is it a bird? Naruto, you should hear about the time my dad almost lost our cart in a bet. Naruto, have you ever seen a dog the size of a horse? I swear. Her dad constantly told her not to disturb the ninja. He said they had better things to do than listen to the stories of a girl. He seemed to have respect for the ninja, but at the same time he didn't seem too anxious to speak with them any more than he had to. On the 5th day Naruto was almost lost in the sounds of the forest surrounding them as he closed his eyes. It had been roughly 4 hours since they left the last village they stayed the night in, and he enjoyed the music the birds made. Yakumo continued to scout out the area, trying to detect any bandits, but her concentration was wavering. Sasuke was getting bored of the lack of actual work he was doing. Naruto's eyes snapped open when he noticed the birds had stopped singing. He heard them take off through the leaves. Heads up. He yelled to the rest of the group. Itachi had already been prepared as he too noticed the birds. Sasuke smiled, ready for some excitement. Yakumo's attention became focused on the situation as a group of roughly 20 bandits came running from the trees. Hand over the goods and we won't kill you all. That's never going to happen. Itachi said as he pulled out a few shuriken. Attack. Naruto pulled out his shakudo with his right hand and blocked the strike of an incoming bandit. Another one attempted to flank him on his left side, but Naruto spun out of the way and slashed his shakudo at the bandit's hand, knocking his blade away. Itachi, having seen Naruto's situation, was concerned. He knew of his student's aversion to wanting to kill, but he was worried it might lead to his demise. 4 bandits rushed forward, but as he stepped forward Itachi activated his Sharingan, and all 4 bandits froze where they stood, each falling victim to Itachi's dot, because their mind was untrained in handling this event they dropped to the ground dead. He ran to Naruto's side and quickly impaled one of the bandits with his own sword. Naruto, if you don't stop these bandits they will kill the people we are sworn to protect. I know that you don't want to take lives, but we are shinobi. This is the responsibility we carry because of our power. I don't want to see you die. Naruto froze at Itachi's words, but quickly nodded to his sensei. This was one of his biggest struggles. He heard the stories of Yamato's victories, and he knew that they involved killing, but he hated the thought of taking the life of another. Sasuke was holding his own against 4 bandits alone. His speed outmatched theirs as did his skill with a sword. 2 of the bandits slashed at Sasuke's head, but the Uchiha bent backwards and kicked one of them in the chest. As he flipped backwards he slashed the arm of the other bandit before landing on his feet and stabbing him in the chest, killing the man. Sasuke's eyes widened as he realized that he just performed his first kill, but he snapped out of it, realizing the other 3 bandits were closing in fast. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Sasuke blew the large inferno from his mouth, catching the other 3 bandits ablaze. Yakumo, who up till now was hidden, watched 3 bandits attempt to climb into the carriage. As they did she launched kunai in their direction which buried them into these bandit stomachs, causing them to cry out in pain as they fell back. She followed up with 3 more kunai which hit them in the hearts. Now noticing her, a bandit climbed up the back of the cart and tried to kill her from behind. He unfortunately found himself in a dot. Demonic mirage. Visage of death. The bandit felt a surge of killer intent rush over his body. He lost all feeling in his arms and legs as he went numb with fear. An apparition of the Shinigami appeared before him laughing with a dagger in his hand. The bandit's body began to go through so much stress his heart exploded from the immense pressure and he fell to the ground dead. Naruto heard a scream from behind him. He quickly turned and saw Yutsuko had run out of the carriage in fear and had been grabbed by a bandit. The girl was crying as the bandit held her, and Naruto felt dread, fear, and anger flush throughout his body. Without thought or pause, acting on complete instinct, he pulled out one of his chakra kunai and channeled his chakra into it. He threw the kunai as hard as he could, and the chakra-coated weapon tore through the man's chest, forcing him backwards, away from Yutsuko. Another 3 bandits began to run at the girl, and Naruto rushed forward with his sword. Sword art. Swirling sword dance. Taking hold of him with both hands and sending a burst of chakra throughout his body, Naruto flashed forward in the middle of the 3 bandits and spun 3 times, slashing his blade in a flurry. As he came to a halt, lines of blood appeared to run down the 3 bandits' bodies. Naruto put the sword back in its sheath, and as the blade clicked into place, the bandits fell to the ground, dead. 3 bandits remained, and they were all petrified at the carnage in front of them. Turning around, they tried to run away. Itachi saw the act of cowardice and realized that these bandits may seek assistance in another attack, so he took out 3 shuriken. All eyes fell on him as he threw the ninja stars with such grace and precision that they embedded themselves in the bandits' backs, severing their spines, killing them instantly. Naruto sighed in relief that the fight was over, but as he looked over to see Itsuko cringing away from him in fear, he looked over his body. There was blood staining his clothes from his enemies. The fact that he had just taken 4 lives washed over him, and for what he hoped to be the first and last time, he dropped to his knees and cried. Sasuke too was having a hard time dealing with what he had done, but the knowledge of its necessity helped to hold him together in front of his teammates. Yakumo was not as affected as her teammates because of her own past history. This was not the first time she had killed to defend herself, and she knew how to deal with what she had done. Itachi walked over to his student and placed his hand on his shoulder. Naruto, you saved Yutsuko. You did well. I am sorry that you were forced to kill, but know that you protected a person who needed your help. As long as that is the reason for taking a life, to protect those who need and deserve it, then you have done the right thing. I'm sorry. I didn't want to cry like this. It is okay, Naruto. We are all a team. You never have to apologize for this. Sasuke and Yakumo approach their comrade, and Sasuke helps Naruto up. A knowing look was shared among the 3 friends. On this day, an unbreakable bond was forged in battle. Naruto walked over and knelt in front of Yutsuko. I'm sorry that you had to witness that. I never wanted you to see what ninja have to do, but I couldn't let them hurt you. Yutsuko started to cry as she grabbed Naruto and buried her face in his shoulder. Tenma watched from the carriage as he started to form a newfound respect for these kids. No, these Konoha shinobi, who have saved his and his daughter's lives. Chiaki, Kimiko, Chikichi, and Fumitaka stood at each corner of the camp keeping watch. Their mission to attack the nearby village would soon begin, and the others were resting for the fight. The trees above the camp began to rustle because of the wind, and leaves fell down and landed by each shinobi. Chiaki heard a strange sizzling next to her. She looked at one of the leaves and it was catching fire. As she flipped it over, she saw the explosive seal. Shy. Boom. Anbu assault. Yamato's strength tested. A resounding explosion woke Yasushi Sachihiro from his sleep, and he quickly left his tent only to find much of his campsite covered in flames. He armed himself with his wakizashi as many of his subordinates gathered around him. Report keyed. 4 simultaneous explosions happened at each corner of our camp. Our lookouts are dead. Our enemy must be a group of Anbu. Yasushi quietly said to himself. Listen up, all of you. Our adversary is dangerous, and if you want to survive the night, you will do as I say. The remaining members of their group nodded in agreement. Whoever it is out there just made a dangerous mistake. Yamato watched from the forest as the camp burned. He waited as his clones positioned themselves around the camp in preparation for the missing ninja's retaliation. He felt the chakra of each ninja in the camp, so he knew that 4 of them were in fact terminated. Naruto, if I don't make it back, please know that I love you and I am sorry for failing you again, my brother. Yamato said quietly to himself. Oh, that was just adorable. But it looks like you will fail after all. Yamato turned to the voice to see a katana blade sticking out from one of his clone's chests. The clone began to deteriorate and turn back into wood. I'm almost impressed by how you took us by surprise. Too bad, you're just outmatched. Yasushi said as the other ninja appeared by him from the trees. Your clones are history, and you are outnumbered. If you surrender now, I'll make sure you have a quick death. If not, well, your brother will find your head in a box for him. Don't worry though, you blew up 4 of my men, so I'll return your actions in kind. He won't even have time to shed a tear for you. Yamato felt his pulse quicken at the mention of his brother. He pulled out his Tanto sword as well as a dot. You will leave him out of this? Or what? Keat asked. You imbeciles think you have the upper hand here, right? It's not even a thought. It's 6 on 1. Ikuya responded, a chuckle cracking through his lips, which Yamato smirked at behind his Anbu mask. The sound of flesh being torn broke the silence in the woods. Ikuya felt pain shoot throughout his body and he looked down. A blade stuck out from his chest, piercing his heart. Blood dripped from his mouth as the blade was removed and he fell from the branches, dropping 15 feet to the ground, dead. Ikuya. Ritsuke yelled. Another Yamato clone now stood where the missing ninja from Kurigakure stood. Make it 5-on-2 now. The clone said before disappearing through the trees. Ritsuke, track that clone down. Ryuga, Genji, follow and dispose of the nuisance. Yasushi ordered. Yes, sir. The three said in unison before following after Yamato's clone. Deed, let's have some fun with this one. You got it, Yasushi. He responded. Yamato braced himself for the joint assault. Wind style. Giant breakthrough jutsu. Fire style. Dragon flame jutsu. The two jutsu mixed and a large wall of fire barreled towards Yamato. He looked around him and saw the metallic table he was strapped down to. He felt a stinging sensation coming from his arms. He tried to look down at them, but his head was strapped down as well. Some kind of mask was on his face pumping a strange tasting gas into his mouth. Ah, you're awake. How are you feeling? Orochimaru asked as he stepped towards the strapped down boy. His eyes widened in fear as he saw the snake Sannin grinning evilly at him. As he tried to speak, he realized that he couldn't form words. It was probably whatever the gas was doing to him. Do you feel anything? He was barely able to nod his head yes. Would you like to see what it is? Again he simply nodded yes. Suit yourself. Kabuto, if you would, please remove his head bonds. As you wish, Lord Orochimaru. The silver-haired apprentice walked over and unstrapped the restraints that held his head down. With what strength he had, the boy picked up his head and looked down to a sight that made his eyes widen in absolute terror. Fukuku, what's the matter now, isn't this what you wanted to see? The boy saw the skin from his arms, chest, and legs was completely removed with tubes connected into his muscle tissue, pumping his body full of a strange liquid. He started hyperventilating and thrashing around, causing the mask he wore to break free and allowing him to breathe in clean oxygen. As he yelled out in terror, the missing skin began to slowly regrow, causing him even more pain. He started shaking around from the sheer agony he felt. Kabuto reattached the mask. We must stop Kyuubi from being able to heal the boy. Yes, sir. I'll place him back under as well. Good, looks like it's back to sleep for you. The boy got one more quick look at his slowly healing body before his head was roughly pulled back down and restrained. The mask was pulled back in place and Kabuto's hands began to glow brightly. "Nu!" Naruto screamed out as he thrashed about in his sleep. Naruto. Naruto wakes up. Itachi and Sasuke stood over the sleeping boy as he was stuck inside a nightmare. Itachi, what's wrong with him? Sasuke asked in concern for his friend. I don't know, Sasuke, maybe he is killing those bandits harder than I thought. Sasuke moved over top of Naruto as Itachi kept him held down. Naruto wakes up. The blonde remained unresponsive to Sasuke's words. Come on, you idiot, wake up. Before Itachi could stop him, Sasuke slapped the sleeping Naruto across the face, causing the blonde to snap awake. Naruto was so caught up in the dream though that he broke free of Itachi's grasp and tackled Sasuke to the ground before punching the Uchiha in the face. I'll kill you, you snake freak. What the hell did you do to me? Naruto punches Sasuke again before Itachi once again grabs and restrains him against a wall. Naruto snapped out of it. Now, that's an order. Somehow that seemed to break the blonde from his wild feverish trance. He looked around the room and saw Sasuke slowly getting up with a bloody nose, holding his cheek. Itachi had his Sharingan activated and looked upset. What? Where am I? We are in the hotel provided to us by our client. Now calm the hell down. Naruto's breathing evened out and he sank to the ground covered in sweat. Sasuke walked over and sat down alongside Naruto and Itachi, who also sat. They stayed silent for a few moments while everyone calmed down. I'm sorry, Sasuke. Naruto said sadly, realizing what he had done to his best friend. It's fine. Sasuke responded. Naruto, I need to know what that was all about. If you are a danger to this mission, I need to know. Naruto looked into his sensei's eyes and nodded softly. I had a bad nightmare. Well, obviously, idiot. Sasuke replied sarcastically. Was it about killing the bandits? Itachi asked. No. It was about what happened to me before Mom, Tsunade, found me all those years ago. Sasuke looked at his friend confused. Naruto never spoke about his previous life before living in Konoha. He always assumed it wasn't important. This is about Orochimaru, isn't it? Itachi asked. Yes. Naruto explained the dream to Sasuke and Itachi while trying to not keep eye contact. He didn't want to be seen as weak. Sasuke's face paled even more than his already ivory skin would seem able to. Itachi just silently listened. and waited for Naruto to finish. And that's when you guys woke me up. Naruto, I apologize for my earlier reaction. I was not fully aware of the conditions that led to your arrival in Konoha. It's fine, sensei, I blocked most of everything out. It seems like the nightmares are growing more frequent and more revealing. Sasuke, take Naruto into the forest. If I recall, you are able to better think and relax while meditating under the trees, correct? Yes, Itachi-sensei. Then I want you to spend a few hours there pulling your mind together and centering yourself while I speak with our client about the remainder of our mission. Sasuke, after taking Naruto to the forest, I want you and Yakumo to familiarize yourselves with the area. You will need all the information about this town and its people you can get. Yes, sensei. Sasuke responded. But then get to it. The wood clone leapt from branch to branch, doing its best to lead the three pursuing ninja from the original. He could feel that the three missing ninja were hot on his feet. Luckily he had a plan for this encounter. The Yamato clone leapt down to the forest floor and he was quickly surrounded by the enemy. Well, Mr. Clone, have you enjoyed your short life? I hope so, because it is about to end. Ryuga said cockily. Brother, let us end this miserable clone suffering. Genji addressed. Stand back Ritsuke, this won't take long. As you wish Ryuga. She responded. Water style. Water whip jutsu. Lightning style. Crashing thunder jutsu. The sky darkened above the trees as large bolts of lightning pierced the ground near the Yamato clone, who barely dodged out of the way. As he jumped to his left he felt something wet on his leg. Looking down, he noticed the water whip had wrapped around his foot and he was pulled roughly and thrown at a tree trunk. Wow, this is going to be easier than I thought. Ryuga said with a smirk. Do not get overconfident, brother. Genji doesn't dampen my mood. I'm just trying to keep you alive, brother mine. If you have had enough of your brotherly squabble, how about we get back to business, The brothers looked over to the Yamato clone who was standing back up and brushing off his pants. He quickly made several hand signs. You are not the only ones with impressive techniques. Water style. Rushing river jutsu. Earth style. Arena barrier jutsu. The ground around them began to shake as a large circular chunk of land surrounding them rose out of the earth, stooping at 40 feet in height. A hole appeared in one of the walls, and a torrential river quickly started to fill up the arena. I would not advise you to continue your use of lightning unless you want to fry all of us. The clone said to the brothers. After all, I'm only a clone, you all are the real deal, right? Soon enough this earth barrier will drown all of us. You really don't think that we climb a wall? What do you think we are, some fresh-faced genin? No, your faces definitely are not that fresh. The clone replied to Ryuga. Ryuga and Genji raced towards the sides of the arena to run up and out. Wood style. Wall spike jutsu. As Ryuga was about to connect to the earth wall, wooden spikes started shooting out of the wall, one managing to pierce his foot. Ah, darn it. That freaking hurt you, jackass. Genji had managed to stop before the spikes appeared. He turned to his brother. I've told you not to be so reckless. Shut up, Genji. The water level continued to rise, now coming to their waistline. Genji smiled at this development. Thanks for all the free water, my friend. Water style. Water shark bomb jutsu. The Yamato clone watched as four shark-like water constructs swam quickly in his direction. He ran through hand signs as they neared him. Wood style. Wood dome jutsu. The dome of wood surrounded him just as the sharks made contact and exploded. When the barrage ended, the dome was damaged, but the Yamato clone remained unharmed. I'm going to destroy you. Ryuga shouted as he made hand signs. Ryuga, don't, you will kill us all. Genji interjected. Fine, whatever, we need to find a way out of the thought. Sorry guys, but I can't let you do that. The three fighters looked to the top of the rock wall to see Ritsuke. Her hands were in the sign of the rooster. Ritsuke, what are you doing? Ryuga asked. Sorry Ryuga, Genji, but with you guys gone, there will be a bigger share going to me, so I have to eradicate you. Lightning style. Raiden's Wrath jutsu. The powerful bolt of lightning crashed into the water-filled arena. Ritsuke watched with a smile as Ryuga and Genji began shaking and screaming in pain as their bodies were heavily electrocuted. Their skin began to smoke before blackening and cracking from the highly deadly voltage. Ritsuke chuckled as she watched her teammates die in the arena. Sorry about these boys. Too bad for you. Ugh. Ritsuke felt pain in her gut. She looked down and saw the wood clone's tento sticking in her abdomen. The clone was caught on fire with his arm pointed at her, implying that he had thrown the tento with his last breath. This isn't how it was supposed to be. Ugh. Ritsuke fell over on the rock with her eyes closed while her stomach heavily bled. Water style. Rising water wall jutsu. Yamato shouted. A gigantic wall of water erupted from the ground in front of him, surrounding him and protecting him from the intense flames that threatened his safety. When the flames came into contact with the water, instantly the area was engulfed in a cloud of steam. Wind style. Rushing winds jutsu. Keed blew a stream of wind from his mouth, clearing the steam away and allowing the ninja to once again see each other. Yamato stood with both blades drawn, preparing to defend himself against both Keed and Yasushi. Yasushi silently drew his own katana preparing for combat as Keed pulled out a scroll and a kunai. "So Leaf Shinobi, are you prepared to die?" Yasushi asked. "I'm always prepared for my possible death. But I will not die until I have made sure you cannot touch my brother." "Oh, you got him really riled up, Yasushi," Keed said with a smirk. "Keed, do not underestimate this Anbu officer. I feel a strange power within him." "If you say so, Yasushi." Keed and Yasushi rushed forward with Yasushi slashing and hacking at Yamato. Yamato expertly deflected each attack as soon as it was started. Keed attempted to strike Yamato from behind, so Yamato flipped backwards over Keed and kicked him into Yasushi. "Get out of my way, Keed. Do something useful, would you?" "I'll show you useful information." Keed mumbled. Wind style. Air bullet jutsu. Keed shot bullet after bullet of compressed air at Yamato, who jumped, ducked and sidestepped each attack. Earth style. Concussion wave jutsu. Keed punched the ground with all of his might, sending a shock wave that knocked Yamato off of him. Yasushi took this opportunity to leap at Yamato and try to kill him. Yamato quickly rolled away and sheathed his blades. Wood style. Ensnaring branches. Keed felt a tug at his back and turned to see a tree branch grab him and hold him above the ground. "What the hell is this?" "Wood style jutsu, well this just got more interesting." "Yasushi helped me out. This thing is crushing me." Keed pleaded. Yasushi walked over to Keed and placed his hand on Suede's head. "You are too annoying to keep alive any longer. Obviously, getting caught like this by a genin, you are not worthy of being saved by me." Yasushi said impassively, without care. "You can't mean that, Yasushi, please I beg of you help me." Keed pleaded as the branches closed even tighter. "Begging? Really? Pathetic, just so pathetic." Yasushi held his katana to Suede's throat. "What are you doing? He's your teammate." Yamato asked incredulously. "He is a pointless broken tool now. Nothing more." Yasushi lifted his blade and in one fluid motion, removed Keed's head from his shoulders. "You would kill your own man?" Yamato asked in shock. "There are more where he came from. He will not be the only head that I take tonight." Yasushi charged Yamato and slashed with his katana. Sasuke and Yakumo walked through the town together looking at all the different sights to see. Sasuke made a mental map as he went through and Yakumo watched for any in the area as well as any suspicious activity. Yakumo looked at Sasuke, who seemed overly preoccupied with his job. She didn't know what was wrong, but she figured it had to do with the question she planned on asking him. "Sasuke? What? Is Naruto okay? I heard him scream from my room last night." "Naruto is fine. He just needs to clear his head." "What happened?" "These are questions you need to ask Yakumo. Naruto is my best friend and because of that I will keep his secret secret. They're not mine to tell." "I'm sorry, Sasuke." "It's not a problem. Just next time ask him." The two continued to walk more around the village when the sound of someone crying drew their attention. Yakumo ran towards the noise with Sasuke in tow. When they rounded the corner they saw a young boy around the age of 6 laying next to a black-haired woman with a knife in her chest. "Are you okay?" Yakumo asked as she bent down near the boy. "Mommy? She's dead," he said while sniffling and crying. "Who did this?" she asked. "He was bigger and had golden hair. I think that they called him Kuzuk." "Kuzuk?" Yakumo brought the boy to the nearest hospital and told them about the mother's body. Something about this was really eating away at her. It just ate away at her. "Sasuke, we need to figure this situation out." "Yeah, I know. Let's talk to Itachi-sensei and Naruto later." "Okay. That sounds best," he responded. "Hey there. You're a Leaf Shinobi, correct?" Sasuke and Yakumo looked over to see two ninja with a symbol for grass on their forehead protectors. "Why do you want to know?" Sasuke asked coldly. "We are looking for our third teammate. If you see her, bring her to room 261. It's in the apartment buildings near the graveyard." The two grass ninja looked away to search for their missing teammate again. "We need to report this to Itachi." "I agree, let's go." Naruto sat beneath a tree meditating the way Yamato taught him. The nightmare about Orochimaru was still on his mind and he didn't know what to do. He felt like Orochimaru had torn him to pieces. What was he doing to me? Naruto continued to ask himself. Well, I think I've taken long enough. As Naruto stood up, a shooting pain started to course its way through his body. He found that he couldn't move, he hurt so badly. It was like every bone and every muscle was breaking or tearing. He tried to cry out but he couldn't. Naruto barely managed to lean himself against a large tree. The fiery burning took him over as if his chakra was trying to melt him like butter. He could actually start to see his chakra. It started out a normal blue hue, but slowly it turned green, with streaks of red and blue swirling throughout it. Naruto first acted on its own and punched a hole straight through the tree. What the? Naruto pulled his hand out and it was completely unharmed. What's happening to me? If he thought the pain was unbearable before, it began to accelerate through the entire body and the strain increased tenfold. His voice wouldn't work and after 10 minutes of constant pain, Naruto passed out beneath the broken tree. 2 hours later Naruto was still passed out on the ground. He felt something moving around his chest and head. It was one of the most soothing feelings he had ever felt before. Slowly opening his eyes he looked over to see a girl around his age with white hair, pale rippling eyes, and a green bandana on her head. Her hands were glowing and radiating a soothing medical chakra. Beautiful. Naruto whispered, causing the girl to jump. Oh my god, are you awake? Slowly Naruto opened his eyes and yawned. After cracking his back he sat up and looked at the girl who was helping him. I'm sorry if I scared you. I just wasn't expecting anyone to have such a beautiful chakra. What do you mean? She asked. I don't know, your hands. They were glowing a second ago. The girl looked at him funnily. After dressing, if you want I can take you to a real doctor. No, I'm fine. He felt great actually, even better than before. Who are you? The girl smiled and looked at him. It's impolite to ask another their name without first telling your own. Naruto smiled at the girl. She seemed friendly to him. Plus he could tell that her chakra was friendly and pure. That fact still scared him slightly, but he knew he'd learn to fully understand it later. My name is Naruto. Hello Naruto, I am Raizetsu. Where are you from? The village hidden in the grass. You. I'm from Konoha. Ah, Leaf Ninja, eh? Yeah, that's me. So what were you doing all alone out here? She asked him. I was meditating. Looked more like you fell asleep. Yeah. I do that sometimes. He responded while rubbing his head. So what were you doing to me before? Oh, I'm sorry, I was making sure you were okay. Don't see that many ninja just sleeping out in the open like that. Well then I guess I owe you a thank you. So. Thank you Ryuzetsu. She walked away back into the trees. You're welcome. Have a great day Ryuzetsu. Naruto yelled after her. You too Naruto. She called back. After she walked a certain distance away she put in a radio headset. I found him. Tell Lord Orochimaru that his experiments are working. Naruto is almost ready. Naruto, Yakumo, Sasuke and Itachi sat in with Tenma Urara and his business partners, his brother Hiashi Urara and the other partners, Akira Udoka and Yashi Kimchi. Tenma had just finished telling his partners about the attack on the road and his decision not to sell off his company as had been the original plan. Tenma, we had an agreement. Are you really going to let this bandit attack change your mind? I mean it is hardly the first time something like this has happened. Hiashi, my brother, I made this decision before the attack. I don't want to sell the company that I had built up from nothing. I agree with you on this decision, Tenma. Yashi spoke up. As do I, Akira agreed. That means a lot to me, my friends. Hiashi, I hope that you will not stay mad. I think that you are a foolish brother. We would be rich after selling off the company. I don't care about the money. In fact one day I hope that my daughter will take over as the new head of this company. I want this to be a long-standing business that will last generations and I think that we can do it. You cannot be serious. Hiashi was looking extremely upset. Why not put this decision to a vote? Yashi suggested. I agree with Yashi's idea. Alright. If you agree with the decision to not sell the business please say aye. 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 All opposed? Nay. Hiashi was the only one to oppose the decision. Me once again. We will not sell the business. Tenma declared. Brother, you have betrayed my trust in you. I will not forget this treachery. I am sorry that you feel betrayed by Hiashi. This meeting is adjourned. Everyone filed out of the meeting room and Yutsuko saw Tenma and ran up to him. Daddy? What happened? We are not selling the business Yutsuko. Tenma said with a smile. Yay. Yutsuko cheered and Naruto couldn't help but smile. Several hours later. Ikumo was walking around the town and on her walk she heard a familiar voice in a dark alley. My idiot brother needs to be taken care of. Your group has already failed once. Why should I think you won't fail this time? Master Hiashi, I promise you that the elite teams are all missing ninja. They will not be killed as easily as a few bandits. Good. Oh, and make sure that his brat is taken out as well. I don't want Teen Eater to be a thorn in my side later on in life. Killing your own brother and niece. You truly are ruthless. No, I just want what is due me. Do we have an accord? Of course Master Hiashi. Consider Tenma and Yutsuko as good as dead. In 1 week during the festival they will die in front of everyone and it will look like a normal bandit raid. That is what I like to hear. Ikumo ran back to the house to inform the rest of the team about this new development in their mission. Yamato and Yasushi continued to fight in a long-standing battle. Yamato had a long wound on his back and Yasushi on his leg. In terms of overall skill, Yasushi was the clear victor, but Yamato had something to fight for in this case. He needed to keep Naruto safe. Leaf Anbu, you stand no chance of winning. Die an honorable death. You are too tired to continue on. I will not stop fighting to stop you. Fine then. It is time to end this pathetic fight. Yasushi charged Yamato and faked a downward slash. Yamato fell for the fake, allowing Yasushi to spin around, and the next thing Yamato felt was Yasushi's katana impale his abdomen. Yamato dropped his swords and Yasushi pulled the sword out of him. Yamato was bleeding rather heavily from his wound. I told you that you couldn't win. You're a better swordsman. But not the better ninja. Yamato said with a smile. What are you? A sizzling sound could be heard from behind Yasushi. The two seals Naruto had created for Yamato had been placed and activated on Yasushi's back. A whistling sound started to come from the seals, causing Yasushi some discomfort. What is this? Razor Wind Chakra Seal. Once activated, the stored wind chakra releases in a fury and rips whatever it is attached to into shreds. Should be activated in 3, 2, 1. Get these damn things off of me. Yasushi yelled out as the wind chakra erupted from the seal. Yasushi's screams could be heard for miles as he was violently ripped apart from the seals. Soon his screams faded into a dull whisper until he was no more. Yamato stood up and held his bleeding wound. Thank you, Naruto. He took a few steps and headed towards the rendezvous point where his backup was supposed to meet him. Don't worry, Naruto, I'm on my way. He said with a smile. I'll be home soon. Ugh. Yamato felt something pierce his chest. He looked down to see the blade of his tanto sticking out of him before being ripped away. He fell to the ground and flipped on his back to see Ritsuko standing there covered in her own blood holding the sword. Now you will join us in hell. She weakly said before she fell to the ground dead. Yamato looked down to see the chest wound bleeding heavily. Naruto. I'm so sorry. Yamato whispered before his world went black. Revelations and betrayals. Fight against time. Yugao and her team rushed through the trees. They had made it to the rendezvous spot, but there was no sign of Yamato anywhere. Yugao had a bad feeling, so she had her team scan over the area in search of the comrade they were tasked with assisting. Captain, I found the missing ninja's camp. You need to come here quickly. A voice said over her headset. I'm on my way. Signaling the rest of her squad, Yugao found her way to her subordinate's location. When she found the encampment, she was in shock. The place had been burned to the ground. After closer inspection, she found the remains of 4 humans. What did this captain do? I believe this was the work of Captain Mori. He took on the entire group by himself. That idiot. Captain Nico, what should we do? Find him now. We can only hope that he is still alive. Yes, Captain. Yugao took out several sealing scrolls and sealed the remains of each body she could find. After heading back into the woods, she came across the site of an obvious battle. There was a circular wall of rock filled with water. 2 bodies were floating in the pool of water, so Yugao sealed them as well. Looking around harder, she found a pool of blood that had a trail leading away from it. Yugao followed the trail and came across the headless body of another ninja, as well as a body with a hole in his chest. Yamato, did you do all of this? She asked herself in astonishment. She sealed these 2 bodies and continued to follow the trail of blood. She came across the scattered remains of a human body. There was nothing left other than shreds of flesh and bone covering the ground. Even through all she had been through, Yugao was almost sick to her stomach by the sight. Deciding to continue on, she quickly sealed what remains she could find. Captain. A voice yelled from several yards away. Yugao ran to the voice, and as she burst forth from the bushes, she almost started to cry. There was a young girl on the ground in a pool of blood, and several feet away Yamato was on the ground covered in his own blood. Yamato. Medics, get over here now. She yelled into her headset. She knelt down by her comrade on the ground and began to check his vitals. His body was somewhat cold, and she could tell by how pale he was that he had lost a significant amount of blood. Checking his pulse, she couldn't feel anything. No. Yamato. You can't die. What about Naruto? What will he do without you? Tears freely fell from her eyes as held the body of her old teammate. Captain, you need to move. Yugao looked up to see her 2 doctors standing near her. She slowly stood up as their hands began to glow. She turned away, still crying, thinking about how they were just wasting their chakra at this point. Captain, he is still alive. What? Yugao ran back over in clear shock. I checked his pulse. There was no heartbeat. It is faint and he is in critical condition. But he is still alive. Quick, Tora, give me a few blood pills. He needs as much blood in his system as he can get. Yugao watched as the two medical shinobi started to work on saving his life. She had a small smile at the realization that they might just be able to save him. Will he live? We have done all we can do. He needs to get to Lady Tsunade. She is the only one who could fix the extensiveness of his injuries. Then let us make haste. After securing Yamato and sealing the last missing ninja away, the squad set out to return to the Leaf Village. Just hold on, Yamato. Ikumo sat in front of her team as she finished relaying to them what overheard earlier. Itachi silently listened as he listened to Yakumo's story. Naruto's face held a glare as his fists clenched in anger. Sasuke kept his composure as best as he could, but looking into his eyes you could see the fury. That son of a. Naruto. That is quite enough. Keep a level head. Itachi told him strictly. Getting worked up will help nobody. But Itachi-sensei. No, Naruto, I understand your anger. But if you let your anger control you, then you will never be able to protect Itsuko. Naruto's face fell as his sensei spoke to him. He knew that he was right. Ikumo, are you sure that this is all that you heard? Yes, Itachi-sensei. We need to be smart in how we move forward. Truthfully, this goes beyond the scope of our mission. Itachi said while thinking about how to move forward. You're not thinking of leaving, are you, Itachi? Sasuke asked, hoping his brother wouldn't leave this family in their time of need. According to the rules of the shinobi, our mission was not to protect Tenma and Yutsuko from ninja. That would make this at least a B-rank mission, too high for a genin squad. Following that logic, we should leave first thing in the morning after informing our client. You can't be serious. Naruto stood up and faced his sensei furiously. We can't just leave them. Screw the rules. I will never abandon someone who needs my help. How can you be so heartless, Itachi-sensei? Naruto. Itachi glared at Naruto with his Sharingan active. The blonde genin gulped and sat down. I never said we were leaving. All I said was that was what the rules would tell us to do. Do you not remember what I said to you the day we became a team? Those who do not follow the rules and complete the mission are trash. Sasuke responded. But those who forget about their comrades are worse than trash. Yakumo continued. And our squad is not made up of ninja who are worse than trash. Itachi finished. Naruto held his head down as he listened to his sensei's words. He was ashamed of himself for jumping to conclusions. I'm sorry, sensei. That's okay, Naruto. I am proud of you for wanting to protect our charges so valiantly. Just remember what I've been teaching you. Control your emotions, do not let them control you. Use them to get stronger, don't let them cloud your judgment. I am glad that I was originally wrong to think that you would always put the mission's rules first. So what are we going to do with Itachi-sensei? Sasuke asked. First things first, we need to inform Tenma about this. He deserves to know about the snake in the grass that is his brother. Can we trust him not to act too soon? Yakumo asked. To protect his daughter, Tenma will do whatever it takes, even put on a facade around Hiashi. Naruto replied, earning a nod from Itachi. Itachi, there is something else you need to know. What is, Sasuke? Earlier, Yakumo and I found the dead body of a mother. Her child was with her. Evidently the killer's name was Kuzuki. There were also two genin from the Hidden Grass village looking for their teammate there as well. Yakumo added, causing Naruto to quickly stand up. I think their teammate found me unconscious in the forest. Her name was Raizetsu. I don't think they are enemies. He quickly told them. Itachi looked wide-eyed at the three genin as a small amount of both anger and annoyance radiated from him. You just now decided to tell me this. The three genin sheepishly looked away from their sensei. Sasuke, Yakumo interactions with other shinobi are a top priority. You should have told me immediately. And Naruto, why were you unconscious? Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? She could have killed you, or worse. You and I are going to have a discussion. Sasuke, Yakumo, go set up a small perimeter and wait for me to get back to you. I will be talking to you two later as well about keeping important information to yourself. Sasuke and Yakumo quickly left the room, leaving Naruto to his fate. Now Naruto, I want to know everything. Yes, sensei. Naruto began with the dream of Orochimaru and told Itachi everything that had happened during the day. Yugao and the squad sped on towards Konoha in an attempt to save Yamato's help. They were several miles out and Yugao felt a rush of relief run through her body. We're almost there, Yamato, you're going to be okay. Captain. Yugao and the rest of the team stopped as a figure stepped out from the trees, wearing an outfit with a blank mask covering his face. Yugao Yuzuki, you and your team are to come with me. We can keep Yamato alive, but we must hurry. The figure spoke in a voice devoid of emotion. Under whose orders? The true Hokage. Danzo? Danzo-sama has a proposition for your squad. Please come with me. Yugao and her squad tensed up at the thought of Danzo, the Leaf Elder who was behind the Uchiha massacre. If you think that we would join with that crazy man, you are truly a lost root operative. Please come with me Yugao Yuzuki, I would rather not have to resort to violence. Yugao looked to the rest of her squad and all 4 members nodded to her. Well, it looks like Danzo will have one less pawn after today is done. I'm sorry to hear you say that. The Root Shinobi said as his hands began to glow bright blue. Out of the trees 7 more Root operatives drooped down to the ground surrounding Yugao's squad. You're outnumbered Yuzuki. Well, it would have been beneficial for all of you to join us, we only need Yamato. He looked to the other Root. Kill them. Yugao drew her blade as 2 ninjas charged her. She parried their blows and pushed them backwards. As the 2 Root ninja flew back they made hand signs. Water style. Giant water bullet jutsu. Fire style. Dragon flame bomb jutsu. The first Root ninja shot 4 bullets of chakra-enhanced water from his mouth, which Yugao dodged all but the last one. The bullet collided with her chest knocking her into a tree behind her. A stream of fire barreled towards her. Yugao had just enough time to substitute herself with a close-by log and was safely away from the scorching flame. You're good. My turn. Yugao made a hand sign and she shimmered into the air. The 2 Root ninja looked all over, but they couldn't see her. She shimmered back behind one of the operatives. Sword art. Cycling leaf slash jutsu. Yugao's katana began to glow with chakra. She made an upward slash, slicing through the Root shinobi's back. At the top of the sword's arc the chakra seemed to burst from the blade in a wave of wind chakra, tearing the leaves from the trees around them. The leaves were sharpened by the wind chakra and tore at the second Root ninja, causing him to experience a tremendous amount of pain. His body was in so much pain that he passed out and fell to the ground. I'm sorry for the way you had to die. You can blame Danzo for your end. Yugao rushed off to help the rest of her team. As Yugao was attacked by 2 of the shinobi, Tora was also ambushed by 2 ninja. The first Root shinobi attacked with a tento, slashing Tora across the chest. Tora was not as good as his captain was, but he had some skill, so he drew his own tento and attempted to match the Root ninja in skill with a blade. You have no chance of surviving this encounter. Maybe so. But I can take you with me. Tora countered. Tora kicked the Root ninja in the chest as he flipped backwards and made several hand signs. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. Several fireballs burst from Tora's mouth and collided with the Root ninja engulfing the man in flames. As the Root ninja cried out in pain Tora launched 4 shuriken from his hand, which impacted several vital spots killing the ninja. As Tora landed he was grabbed from behind by the second Root shinobi and he felt a kunai at his throat. Before he could retaliate the blade was buried in his neck. As blood began to flow from the wound, knowing he was dying, Tora thrust the tanto in his hands through his own chest, impaling the Root shinobi behind him, ending both of their lives. The 2 medical Anbu and the Anbu who had been carrying Yamato were surrounded by 4 Root Anbu, including the one who had originally ambushed them. You 3 don't have to die, just come with us. Like we would ever join the likes of you. One of the medics spat out. If that is how you want it, then prepare to die. His hands began glowing again. 2 of the Root ninja rushed at the sides of the medics. Byakugan. One of the medics, who was a Hyuga, activated as Dottie began to rotate quickly while exerting chakra from his body. A spinning barrier of chakra formed around his body. 8 trigrams palm rotation. Both Root members collided with the barrier and were forced backwards. The second medic leapt into the air with several in her hands. She targeted pressure points throughout the Root ninja bodies and threw the needles with precision, hitting each point paralyzing the ninja and causing them to lose consciousness. As she landed on the ground a glowing hand slammed into her chest, several the arteries and veins connected to her heart. No longer attached, her heart stopped beating and she fell to the ground dead with blood running from her mouth. That was a shame. Too bad you didn't just join us. You bastard. The Hyuga rushed towards him, but he was intercepted by the last Root who stabbed him in the abdomen with a kunai. The wound wasn't too deep, so the Hyuga fought back against the Anbu and jumped to the side of the carrying Yamato. Are you okay Tatsu? He asked the Hyuga. I live in Kuma. The 2 Root ninja approached Dot. I'll be the one who decides if you live, now who's next? Sword art. Heavenly cross blade jutsu. Yugao's sword moved with a remarkable speed carving through one of the Roots, killing him and catching the edge of the leader's mask. The corner of the mask cracked off and Yugao could see the platinum hair and the glasses of the shinobi. Well, that was surprising. I didn't think you would have survived this fight, Yugao. Danzo will be pleased to hear about your progress. Well, it would seem that my time here is up. Danzo will return for his property, after all he is the one who commissioned for the creation of Yamato. Money well spent I would say. The Root ninja seemed to merge with the ground and he was gone. Yugao ran over to her fallen medic. Isagi. Unfortunately she was already dead and there was nothing Yugao could do for her team member. Tatsu began to heal his stomach wound as he sat near the fallen medic as well. Captain. Yugao turned around to see the bloody image of Tora stumbling towards her. She ran to his side as he collapsed onto the ground, blood running from both his throat and chest. Tora. This can't be. He reached up and touched her face before smiling and his eyes closed. Yugao could not help but cry over the loss of her two comrades. Yugao Yuzuki. Yugao looked up to see a group of Konoha land near her. She knew that now her and her team were safe. We need to get Yamato to the hospital now. They collected the bodies of both their enemies and their allies and led the injured squad back to the village. Naruto had finished his story and Itachi was deep in thought over what Naruto described. Sensei, do you have any idea what I was seeing with my chakra? No, I apologize to Naruto, but I've never heard of anything like this before. When we return to Konoha I believe we should take you in for an extensive checkup. If there is something wrong with you, we need to figure it out sooner rather than later. Okay sensei. But Naruto, I must stress on you the importance of telling me when things like this happen. We do not know the full extent of what Orochimaru's experiments on you will result in. Do you understand me? Yes, Itachi sensei. Also about the run-in with Ryuzetsu, be careful around foreign ninja. You never know what their true objective is. Their chakra was really beautiful though. This caused Itachi to stare at Naruto. You could see her chakra? Yes, I can even kind of see yours. Though she was using a jutsu, so it was easier with hers. Naruto, until we get you checked out, do not tell anyone about this, okay? Yes, sensei. Good, now let's go talk to Tenma and explain the situation. Tenma sat in silence as he digested everything that had been told to him. Part of him wanted to believe that his brother would never do anything like this to him, but the other part knew that Hiashi had always been a power-hungry man. He still couldn't understand why his own flesh and blood would hire a ninja to kill his own brother and niece. Are you completely positive about all this? He asked the group. Yes, Yakumo heard him talking to the ninja. I am sorry about this, Tenma. Itachi answered. I know you're Itachi. I also understand that this is beyond the current parameters of your mission. I would understand if you wanted to take your genin and leave. I would never leave a client in trouble. My genin shares this belief. We will protect you to the best of our abilities. Tenma looked across to the genin. He understood the danger these children would be in if they stayed. He wanted to tell them to leave and save themselves, but he knew they wouldn't listen. If you will not leave, then at least allow me to compensate you by paying the price for the true rank of this mission. You don't have to do that, Tenma. Itachi responded. Nonsense, you are putting your lives on the line against ninja to keep me and my daughter safe. When this mission is complete I will be sending your Hokage the rest of the money that I will owe. That is the least that I can do. Itachi nodded in understanding. This was a matter of principle and honor for the merchant. So what is the plan then on dealing with this? I do not know the ninja who have been hired, but for starters I need you to continue on for the week as if nothing was wrong. We cannot risk having Hiashi know that you are aware of his plan. I can do that. And in the end Hiashi will be punished for this terrible transgression. Thank you for your cooperation, Tenma. Naruto, Sasuke, and Yakumo, please meet me in the forest in 10 minutes. We will be doing some training to better prepare you for this threat. Yes, sensei. All three said in unison before leaving. Itachi. Yes, Tenma. I want you to promise me one thing. What is that? No matter what happens, Yutsuko will be the first priority to be kept safe. She is more important than I am. I will do as you wish. I will also inform my team of this agreement. Thank you, Itachi. As long as she is safe I would be happy, no matter what. So Itachi, what kind of training are we going to do? Sasuke asked. All of you have worked on ninjutsu training. Sasuke, Naruto, both of you are fairly proficient in your Ikumo, we have focused you on as you have little skill with ninjutsu. Regardless, it is time for you all to discover your chakra affinity. Chakra affinity? Yakumo asked. All ninja have a chakra affinity. The 5 basic affinities are represented by the 5 great countries: fire, water, earth, lightning, and wind. While most ninja can use any technique from these 5 affinities, if you have an affinity for it, then it will be easier for you to enact and you will use less chakra. How are we going to discover our affinities? Sasuke asked. But these. Itachi pulled out 4 small pieces of paper. This is paper made from a special tree that reacts to chakra. All you need to do is channel chakra into the paper. If you have a fire nature the paper will burn, if water the paper will become wet, if earth it will crumble to dust, if lightning the paper will crinkle up, and if wind the paper will split. Itachi explained. Here, observe. Itachi channeled chakra into the paper. The bottom of the paper became wet before the rest of the paper burst into flames. I have a small affinity for water and a large affinity for fire. Most jonin have at least 2 affinities. Now it's your guys' turn. Itachi handed out the papers and watched the students channel their chakra. Yakumo went first. The edges of her paper slowly turned to dust before the rest of the paper seemed to shimmer out of existence. "What was that, Itachi-sensei?" she asked, concerned. "I had a feeling this might happen. You have a slight earth affinity, so if we can ever get your ninjutsu to work you can use earth-style techniques. The rest of the paper reacted to your clear strength and your chakra is literally built for it. I will help you become a superior master too, to all, even me." Sasuke went next, and as he channeled chakra Itachi was intrigued. The paper quickly crinkled before slowly burning away. "Sasuke, you have a pretty strong lightning affinity and a fire affinity. It is uncommon for Uchiha to have a stronger affinity than fire. You will be a very strong Sasuke. Our clan is in safe hands." Naruto was last as he channeled chakra. The paper was instantly shredded. Half the shreds crumbled away and the other half became wet and fell to the earth. No one noticed the slight green hue the paper turned. "Naruto, I must say that I am impressed. A strong wind affinity with strong earth and water affinities as well. We will help you as much as possible." Itachi started out by giving them all books to read on chakra theory and were told that the next day they would begin learning to control their chakra nature. Naruto, Sasuke and Yakumo went to their rooms and continued to study for the next day of intense training. Tsunade sat next to Yamato's bed in his hospital room. When the squad dropped him off at the hospital, he was almost dead. Tsunade had been able to heal his injuries, but it seemed like he was in some kind of a coma. She had no idea when he would wake up and it terrified her to no end. "Come on, Yamato. You have to wake up. What would Naruto do without you? What would I do?" Tears threatened to spill from her eyes. "Your mother is here with you. I won't leave your side." Tsunade thought back to all of the times she had spent with her son. She loved him just as much as she loved Naruto, but she wasn't sure if he knew that. All of these years Tsunade had only wanted one thing from Yamato, and that was for him to call her mom. Unfortunately, he never seemed to be able to refer to her in that way. She didn't blame him though. In some ways he was still that kid they found in the lab all those years ago. Naruto was one of the few who could get through to him. "I need you to wake up, Yamato." When there continued to be no response, Tsunade could do nothing but cry. 2 days later. Naruto sat with a few clones concentrating on a leaf. He knew that he was supposed to be trying to cut it in half with his chakra, but it seemed impossible. Even worse, he could swear that the leaf grew over time, even though it wasn't connected to the tree anymore. He shook that thought from his mind, that was impossible. After another half hour of doing this, Naruto decided he needed a break from his training, so he decided to go speak with Kurama. It had been a while since they had spoken. Naruto said with his legs crossed and began to meditate. After a few minutes he found himself sitting in an open field that he built in his mind for his companion. Naruto heard a slight roar as the giant fox burst from the tree line running towards him. Kurama sat down in front of Naruto. "Naruto, have you come to talk?" "Yes, Kurama. I needed to ask you some things." "Well, go ahead. What do you need to know?" "Do you know what happened to me the other day?" "Yes and no." "Can you elaborate?" "Orochimaru's experiments on you have begun to take effect, as I said they would. While I don't know the full extent of his tampering, I do know he messed with your muscles and bones. He also pumped your body full of chakra. That chakra has remained dormant in your body until now. It has started to awaken. I have been doing my best to keep the flow of outsider chakra from altering you too fast. I want to save you from as much of that pain as possible." "Thank you, Kurama. Do you know anything else?" "No. Orochimaru did everything in his power to keep me from interfering in the past, so I don't know the specifics of what he did. You need to ask Tsunade." "I'll do that. I should be going now." "Yes, I agree, those leaves will not cut themselves. Take care, kid. I will be watching. Goodbye for now, Kurama." After leaving his mind, Naruto continued to work on his wind chakra control. After another few hours he managed to get the leaf cut halfway. After dispelling his clones, Naruto decided he needed some rest. "Naruto?" Naruto turned around and saw Yutsuko standing there looking up at him. "What's up, Yutsuko? What's wrong with daddy?" "What do you mean?" he asked in concern. "He has been so serious the past couple of days. I think we are in trouble. It's worse than when those bad guys on the road attacked us." Naruto felt bad for the young girl in front of him. "Yutsuko, your dad is just trying to make sure that you are safe. I promise that me and my team will protect both of you, no matter what. You promise?" "Yeah, I do." Yutsuko ran up and hugged Naruto, almost knocking him to the ground. "You'll be safe, Yutsuko, I promise." "The day of the festival. Is everything ready?" "Yes, Master Hiashi, everything has been prepared and all are present and accounted for." "Good to hear. I don't want anything to stand in the way of my plan." "Your plan is flawless, this time tomorrow you will have complete control over your brother's company." "That I will. I can almost taste it." "Well, Master, I guess that all there is left to do is to enjoy the festival." "I agree." Konoha. Good morning Kakashi, is your squad ready for its next assignment? Yes, Lord Hokage. If I may, my squad is ready for a C-ranked mission. Do you really think so, Kakashi? Yes I do. And how do your genin feel about this? Hiruzen asked, directing his question to the 3 genin of Squad 6. I think that we are totally ready. Nothing's gonna stop us, right Akamaru? Kiba Inuzuka asked with his arms behind his head. RFF. Akamaru agreed from atop Kiba's head. I think we will do well, Lord Hokage. Hinata Hyuga responded with a newfound confidence under the tutelage of Kakashi Haddock. Hey lies, dog breath, and one eye are correct. We are ready for a C-ranked mission. Sai finished. Okay then. Hiruzen said, shaking his head as Sai had glares from his team. I have just the mission for you. A simple escort mission. Who are we escorting? A beautiful princess. Kiba asked, dreaming of Princess Koyuki. Hiruzen smiled and placed his finger on the intercom. Send him in. The tall older man in worn-out clothes walked in. His breath smelled like it could be lit on fire because of the alcohol content. So this is what I get for protection. An insecure little girl, an overconfident boy with a mutt and a pale crossdresser. Kakashi sent a slight glare to the obviously drunken man. I assure you sir, my genin will be more than enough to keep you safe. Whatever, I'm the great bridge builder Tazuna and from this point until my bridge is complete, you are to keep me safe and alive, even if it costs you worthless lives. Hiruzen sighed in slight annoyance as the genin looked both annoyed and offended. Great. What a first C-ranked mission. Kiba muttered to himself. Mr. Tazuna. Where are we taking you? Hinata asked. My home in the land of waves. Judgment Day. The festival is here. The festival was in full swing as crowds of villagers celebrated in their village square. Many were enjoying the large assortment of games that were available to them. Others were simply enjoying the shopping and food as they relaxed from months of hard work. Naruto was impressed by how this quiet town was so quickly transformed into a bustling place of fun and entertainment. You did good Tenma. He spoke under his breath. What was that Naruto? Looking down to his left side, Naruto smiled at Itsuko, whom he had been charged with defending. A large smile adorned her face as her eyes scanned the festivities around them. Nothing Itsuko, I was just talking to myself. Okay. Can we go play some games? Please. As he nodded to her, Yutsuko took off running towards the stands in front of them. Naruto could see the giant stuffed animal toys that she was eyeing up. After carefully looking around, Naruto ran his hand through his hair, pressing an on button, turning on his communicator. Naruto, how are things looking? Good so far Itachi-sensei. That is good to hear. Sasuke, Yakumo, how are things on your end? Good Itachi-sensei, I have run into no problems. Neither have I. Are we sure that something will happen tonight? Yes, Sasuke. All 3 of you keep your comms okay. I'd like to know what is going on at all times. After responding to his sensei, Naruto hurried over to where Yutsuko was playing a target game. There was a young teenage girl with black hair. She wore a matching colorful uniform that the rest of the festival workers seemed to be wearing. He watched as Yutsuko threw a ball to attempt to knock over a set of cups. Unfortunately the young girl didn't have the skills to knock the cups over and a dejected look overcame her usual bright face. Naruto could tell that being unable to win had upset her and he chuckled a bit at how she was acting. Excuse me sir, is this your sister? The young woman working the game booth asked. No, I am just watching her for her dad. I'm a friend of the family. Well, would you like to help her out? Itsuko started beaming at the suggestion. Please, Naruto. Naruto began rubbing the back of his head. He looked back over to the booth attendant. I'd love to, but as a ninja I don't think it would be really fair for me to play this game. I mean, I'd have a pretty unfair advantage. Itsuko's face dropped slightly, but Naruto could tell that she understood what he was saying. Oh, that's no issue. I would just hate for this cute little girl to have to walk away without one of these amazing prizes. Naruto looked at the girl in shock. In Konoha, the booth attendants were far stingier when dealing with kids. Part of him really wanted to help Yutsuko out, but he still felt like it was cheating. Please Naruto, for me. Naruto smiled down at Yutsuko and then turned back to the attendant. Are you sure? Oh yes, I'm positive. I just want to see a smile on her gorgeous face. Thank you. Naruto handed the girl money for 5 balls. She looked a little confused but handed them to him. Naruto grabbed one of the balls and started to observe the positions of the 10 different cup sets. Taking aim he threw the ball and Yutsuko watched as the one ball flew around the cups knocking them down one by one. Hey Naruto. You did it. The attendant looked happy as she grabbed a large stuffed white rabbit and handed it to Yutsuko. Now, you take good care of her for me. She said as she winked at Yutsuko. I will. Yutsuko said as she hugged the rabbit tightly and walked away. That was really nice of you. Naruto said to the attendant. This festival is for the children, right? So we all have to do our part. Yeah. Naruto said as he walked to catch back up to Itsuko. Ikumo sat at a small dango stand, acting the part of a civilian customer. She kept her eyes open watching the festival around her. A small feeling of sadness slipped into her mind as she watched the children having fun. Even when she was younger her life had always been one horror after another. Her family had treated her like something to be feared because of her abilities and never let her go to the Konoha festivals. And now, as a genin, her mission came first. As she continued to eat her dango, she noticed a man walking around the clothing boutiques, looking at the somewhat expensive materials. What seemed strange was the strange shapes his fingers were making. They almost looked like hand seals, or maybe. Excuse me? Ikumo turned to see a boy who looked a few years older than her standing there. He had bright red hair and brown eyes. In his hands were 2 sticks with cotton candy. Yes. I saw you sitting over here all alone. This is a festival, shouldn't you be having some fun? I mean a girl as pretty as you shouldn't be by herself on a beautiful night like this. Ikumo couldn't help but blush at his statement. He certainly had a strong sense of charm to him. But she knew that her mission needed to come first. Well, I appreciate the comment, I'm not alone. I have some friends who are going to be meeting up with me. I'm just waiting for them. Oh, well, then how about I wait with you? I don't think that's a good idea. Come on, I even brought you this delicious cotton candy. I promise I won't be a bother. You can trust me. Not wanting to be rude to a villager, Yakumo let out a deep sigh. Okay, but just for a few minutes. Hey everyone. It's Tenma, and he's giving a speech. A few of the villagers began to cheer, alerting Yakumo to look up to the stage in the middle of the festival area. Tenma stood in front of a podium and raised his hands to quiet the village down. Everyone, I would like to welcome you to our annual Preservation Day festival. Sasuke Uchiha was not happy. His first C-rank mission, and he had already been forced to kill several people. His clients were in danger from a ninja attack. His brother in all but blood was going through something unimaginable. And here he was stuck patrolling the outer edge of the festival. He understood his brother's reasoning for the most part. He was the fastest of the 3 genin, and with his Sharingan, he'd have the best chance of catching something coming from the outside. But still, even he would have liked to be in the festival for at least a little time. Then there was this sense of foreboding that he kept feeling. Something wasn't right and he knew that it was the festival. Everything was going too smoothly. He had expected something to have come up by now, but there was nothing. He felt that he may just be paranoid, but that paranoia may just be what keeps him alive. Sasuke was drawn to the sound of laughter. He looked to his right to see a pair of teenagers running out of the festival holding hands. They seemed quite close, and they made their way into an empty building on the opposite side of the street. The Uchiha rolled his eyes and continued walking around his perimeter. As he walked by an alleyway, the Leaf Ninja thought he noticed some movement. Looking around he decided to check it out. As he walked deeper into the alleyway, he noticed that the movement was just a couple of cats fighting over something. Taking a closer look he saw that it was a bloody hat. Startled, the Uchiha backed up and noticed that he stepped into something wet. Looking down he realized it was a puddle of blood coming from a black-haired teenage girl who wore a colorful uniform, much like the festival workers wore. Quickly, Sasuke pressed a button on his headset. Come to Itachi, we have a problem. He heard nothing but static over the radio. Itachi came in. Naruto. Yakumo. Keep an eye on the war. Sasuke felt cold steel touch his neck. A ninja appeared behind him with a kunai glinting in the darkness. Oh, you poor little genin. I'd say sorry about this, but that would be a lie. Sasuke let out a breath as his red eyes grew big. The sound of a blade tearing through flesh echoed throughout the dark alleyway. Itachi sat with Tenma, Erika and Yashi in their private booth near the stage. He kept his eyes on his charge, as well as the other 2 heads of Tenma's company. The night so far had been uneventful and calm. But that was what bothered him the most. He knew that a storm was brewing and hoped that his 3 students could handle it. All of his instincts had told him that staying on this mission was not a smart or logical decision, but with genin like Naruto under his tutelage, he couldn't morally leave Tenma to his fate. Excuse me, Tenma. I have a question for you. Yes, Itachi, what is it? I've been wondering, who was it that wanted to buy out your business? Oh, well you have probably heard of him. His name is Geto. The Geto, as in the shipping tycoon. Yes, he has a strong foothold in the land of waves, some would even say that it was his own personal empire. Lately he has wanted to branch out and my own company is second to his, though we operate mostly on land, not on the sea. If he bought us out, have control over a large portion of the trade between the 5 great nations. I assume he offered you all a sizable sum of money. Oh yes, none of us would have ever needed to work ever again. Or at least for a great many years. Why did you decide not to sell? In truth, I never really wanted to. Hiashi convinced us that it would be for the best interest of the company, but I have heard some rumors that make me not believe that. Also, I really am proud of what I've built and would like to keep it in my family. My daughter will be the next head of my company when I retire. Itachi sat and thought about what he had just learned. He too had heard some rumors about the shipping magnate. What have you heard that made you reconsider? Horrible tales about what he has put the land of waves through. Their people are starving and he is a tyrant, bleeding them all dry. I refuse to do business with such a man. Tenma, those rumors are unsubstantiated. All eyes turned onto the newcomer, Hiashi, as he walked into the private booth. Tenma had to fight himself not to retaliate against his brother, but there was no proof of Hiashi's intentions yet. Tenma hoped that the Leaf Ninja were mistaken about his older brother. Hiashi, it is about time that you showed up. Hiashi remarked as he drank sake from a small cup. My apologies friends, I have had quite a bit of thinking to do. And while I strongly disagree with your decision, I will uphold them. That is what brothers do, right Tenma? Look out for each other. Do what is best for both parties. Yes, you are correct Hiashi. And selling the company is not what is best. But Tenma, the money. I don't care about the money Hiashi. Tenma said, holding his forehead with one hand and his head tilted down. But I can clearly see, I mean look at how much of our company's funds you spent on this festival. Hiashi, please, let us not fight tonight. Enjoy the celebration. Erika cut in and placed a hand on the clearly upset man. You're right Erika. I have been a bold fool to all of you. How about a gift to remedy the way I've behaved? Everyone looked to Hiashi as he brought out an old bottle of wine. This was one of my most prized possessions. Aged to perfection, I have been waiting for the right time to enjoy this beauty and I believe that time is now. I mean this is a festival right? Grabbing 5 glasses, Hiashi opened the bottle and filled each glass before passing them out. Itachi and Tenma looked at the wine with distrust. He may have poisoned the contents beforehand. Hiashi took hold of his glass and raised it into the air. To the future. The rest of the group followed suit. Hiashi looked at his brother as he drank the wine and set his glass down. Erika and Yashi followed Hiashi's example. Waiting a few moments, Itachi and Tenma drank their wine. While the wine tasted slightly bitter, Itachi could tell that it was safe to drink, in moderation. This wine would get you rather drunk, but there was no poison. Oh Tenma, look at the time. Erika all but shouted. Yes, you need to make your speech. Yashi agreed. Tenma bowed to his friends before making his way upon the stage. He looked out onto the civilians who were clearly enjoying his most special day, and he smiled. This was what he longed for, making his people happy. He raised his hands into the air to calm the crowd down, but everyone began to cheer. Finally settling down, the crowd allowed him to speak. Everyone, I would like to welcome you to our annual Preservation Day festival. Once again the crowd cheered. As many of you know there have been rumors circulating that I was to sell the company. I want you all to know that this is false. I will not be selling. Again the crowd erupted into applause and cheers. Most of these people relied on his company for work and their livelihood. Every year the people of this village, all of you my dear friends, work tirelessly. You work to keep your families fed. You work to show your strength. You work to show your pride. And some months are much harder than others. Many of you, I have the utter privilege to call you my employees. Others I am lucky enough to get to work alongside for trade. This village, this community, is like a family to me. You took me in when my brother and I came here with nothing. You helped us grow our company from nothing to a leader in trade and I will be forever grateful. Take this night and enjoy it. There isn't a lot that I can do for all of you, but putting this festival on every year, that my friends, is an honor that I will gladly do. An honor that my company will continue to do because in truth this isn't my company. This business is all of ours. So, my family, my friends. Have fun and enjoy your lives. And most of all, thank you all so much. Itachi couldn't help but smile at the crowd's reaction. Tenma's speech was met with resounding applause and he could clearly see the adoration these people felt for this man. Any hesitation he felt from continuing this mission was forgotten. But the celebration couldn't last. Itachi caught a smirk growing on Hiashi's face out of the corner of his eyes. An explosion shot into the courtyard, coming from the last known location of one of his students. Yutsuko. Naruto and Yutsuko walked calmly through the crowd of excited civilians. Yutsuko was ecstatic to have her large plush rabbit and held on to it closely. As Naruto looked around more, he noticed Yakumo talking with some random guy. He could tell that something he said had made her blush and he rolled his eyes. He reached for his headset and pushed the talk button. Really Yakumo, get your head on right. He was met with silence and static. He pressed the button again to talk. Itachi-sensei. Still there was no response. Sasuke, where are you, come in. When no one returned, Naruto started to get scared. Something was obviously wrong. The crowd around him began to cheer. "Hey daddy." Itsuko jumped up and down as she saw her father get up to speak. "Everyone, I would like to welcome you to our annual Preservation Day festival." Once again the crowd cheered. And everyone began to listen to Tenma's speech, but the slight sizzling could still be heard. Naruto quickly scanned the area again, and he felt a darkening presence in the air. Closing his eyes and breathing, he followed this new sense and turned his head. Reopening his eyes, he was met with the smiling face of the game attendant who allowed him to play for Itsuko. She waved with a dark smirk as she puffed into smoke, revealing that she was under a transformation jutsu. She now had short brown hair with green streaks in it. Upon her forehead was a sand headband with a slash through it. She brought up her hand in a familiar seal, and Naruto's eyes grew wide. As Tenma's speech ended, Itsuko cheered for her father. She was so proud of what he did for their people. She noticed a slight burning smell and looked down at a rabbit. Some of its white fur had burned away, revealing what looked like a white strip of paper with black writing on it. "Naruto." She spoke as she grew afraid. The tag began to burn, and the blonde ninja grabbed for Itsuko's hand. Boom. An explosion blasted through the courtyard, catching several dozen innocent bystanders in its path. Fire engulfed the space, and the sand ninja smiled as she jumped into action. Ikumo was thrown backwards by the explosion's shockwave. When she went to stand up, she felt a piercing pain in her leg. As she cried out in pain, she looked to see the boy who was talking to her had driven a kunai into her left leg. "Sorry gorgeous, but I can't have you messing up our plans." As he raised his other hand, which held another kunai, he noticed that Yakumo began to vanish from the ground, melting away into the air. He stabbed the kunai down, and it just hit dirt. Mayhem was all around as people screamed and pushed their way past each other, trying to get to safety. The ninja looked around, but Yakumo was nowhere in sight. "Wait, shit. It's just Genju. Ugh." As he spoke, he felt pain and blood pooled in his mouth. A kunai had been thrust through his neck from behind, and as his vision cleared of the genjutsu, he saw that he was still holding the kunai in the air. He had never moved from his spot. But she had. "Next time, don't screw with a leaf shinobi." The ninja collapsed to the ground, the lights leaving his eyes. Yakumo had pulled the kunai from her leg and tried to stand. It wasn't easy, but she managed, albeit shakily. Walking towards the source of the explosion, she found Itachi holding a Leaf Village headband that had been burned in the explosion. "Naruto?" she asked with tears threatening her eyes. Itachi looked over with a grim expression on his face. Closing his eyes, he shook his head before his angry glare burned in the direction of the private box Hiashi sat in. Well. Looks like that's 2 Leaf Ninja down, 1.5 to go. 3 more missing ninja leapt into the fray, surrounding Itachi. "Do?" Yakumo asked, afraid of the answer. The blonde and the scared little Uchiha. Both Yakumo and Itachi's eyes widened, and the Uchiha's eyes turned red, a pinwheel showing in his anger. "Itsuko?" Tenma shouted in fear as he watched the explosion. His daughter was out there and he felt a fear he'd never experienced before. He turned to the Leaf Ninja in his presence, and Itachi nodded before he vanished into a flock of ravens. The sickening sound of flesh being torn snapped Tenma out of his trance as he looked to where his friends had sat. Hiashi stood behind both of them with a sword in his hand. Both Yashi and Erika had blood soaking through their clothes from holes in their chests. "Hiashi, I can't believe that you would do this." "Really brother, is it such a surprise to you? You ruined everything for me." "Why, because you aren't rich. Is money the only thing that you care about? My daughter is hopefully as dead as you are going to be next." Tenma's eyes grew wide. "These 2 fools should never have betrayed me. I would have let them live. You on the other hand, you couldn't just have died on the road, could you? So it really was you this whole time?" "Yes. I earned my rewards from this company of ours. I put in my time, my sweat, my blood. And for what? You are just spending our hard-earned living on some stupid festival. It's just money Hiashi, there are far more important things." "No, brother, not to me. We scrapped by. Alone, and on the streets. Our parents left us with nothing, and we had each other. Together, we built this company from nothing, and for what? Money. That's what we were after. Or have you already forgotten what things happened to us all those years?" "I'll never forget, but these people, this town. They deserve everything I can give them for what they have done for us. And because of that way of thinking, I'm going to kill you right here, Tenma. But first, you are going to watch everything here burn. All those people you care so much about. Even those ninja you hired. You get to watch them all burn. In the land of waves." Hinata Hyuga sat alone with a brush and paper writing. Everything went wrong. From the moment they saw the puddle in the middle of the road. Their first C-rank mission was doomed for failure. On the road, 2 hidden missing ninja had ambushed them and seemingly killed Kakashi. Kiba and Akamaru, using their animal-like jutsu, took down one of the two shinobi quite easily. Hinata and Shino protected Tazuna to the best of their ability, and she had successfully used her gentle fist jutsu to paralyze the second ninja. Kakashi revealed himself and the squad learned that the bridge Tazuna was building was the only hope that the Land of Waves had to get out from beneath the thumb of Geto, a tyrant of a man who used his seemingly legit shipping company to promote drug trade and sex trafficking. Finding out that ninja would be coming after them, Kakashi had wanted to turn back, for Tazuna had known all along what might be in his way. But Hinata, realizing what her respected friend Naruto would have said, pushed her team to help the poor country. The rest of the group agreed and they continued on with the mission. Once they arrived in the Land of Waves they made their way towards Tazuna's village. On the road they came under attack from Zabuza Mamachi, the demon on the hidden mist. Kakashi and Zabuza fought and after being captured, Kakashi wanted his team to run. Hinata, Kiba and Akamaru tried to free their sensei, while Shino stayed back to protect their charge. They successfully freed Kakashi, but Kiba had been injured quite severely in the process after being cut by Zabuza's executioner blade. Once freed, Kakashi used his Sharingan to quickly defeat the missing ninja, but Zabuza was rescued by an associate of his wearing a hunter ninja's mask. Kakashi, after having used up far too much of his chakra, passed out. They had been at Tazuna's house for a few hours before the copy ninja woke up. Realizing the amount of trouble they were in, Kakashi asked Hinata to send a message to the Leaf, requesting aid. As she wrote her letter, she only hoped that help would make it in time. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy it. Turn on that bell notification. Like, subscribe and comment down below. And also check out the others videos I have created.